this. So how does this relate to content? So first off, starting from the back, likeness, I think so much more of it is just be you. I don't think there's zero ROI in trying to be or act in a way that is different than who you are. And it's a relatively trite message, but most people are NPCs. Most people say pre-recorded scripts. They look at the 4 different outfit combinations that exist for different kind of mental stereotypes. It's oh yeah, guy who loves barbecue and craft beers. Oh yeah, that's that archetype. I'm just gonna be that archetype. Or you've got hipster bro who likes hipster shit, right? Or you've got just bro, right? You've got just sure bro. And people somewhat put me in that status, but I also for a few years was wearing sandals that looked really weird. And I wore those, and that was not bro-y at all, but I wore them because they were super comfortable, and I didn't have to wear socks, which is a big thing for me. Anyways, the point is just I think what makes you unique is if you actually lean into the nuances that make you you, and actually have a way to defend why you do what you do. Because most people don't even think about why they do what they do. And if you do things and you don't know why, it's because you're following someone else's directions for your life rather than your own. Real. And so much of us have been programmed by people earlier in our lives. And I say programmed as though we were like machines, but think about it like this. What person do you think in your life, highest likelihood, has super high max status, power, credibility, and likeness? I'll wait. Who do you think has the highest, has these maxed out earlier on in your life? It's your parents, right? It's your parents. So think about all 4 of these elements. Status. Do your parents control scarce resources, things you want? They've got money, and they've got toys that they can buy you. They've got food. They control your shelter. They control what room you live in. They control if there's other people in the room. They have huge amounts of status in your life because they control all the scarcest resources, all the things you want. And also, to the degree for each of these, SPCL, these are not binaries. So don't think oh, I have status, I don't have status. It's to what degree do you have status, right? If somebody's got more money than you, they might have some status. If you've got $1 and somebody's got 10 grand, they got more status than you, right? But if someone's a billionaire, they have way more status than the guy who's 10,000, right? Okay. So again, think not in binaries, yes or no, but think in continuums. So the next one is, think about your parents. Power. How many reinforcement cycles do you assume that your parents had from the time you were born? And when I say reinforcement cycles, it means they said, do this, you did that thing, and then a good thing happened. Now, you might be I hate my dad or hate my mom or whatever your thing is. I don't really care. That doesn't matter for this purpose. The idea is that they probably said, don't go in the street, or don't do that, and you avoided a bad thing, or do this, and then a good thing happened, right? You tied your shoes the first time, you put the 2 bunny ears together, you tied your shoes, a good thing happened, you followed their directions. Think about how many times a parent has given you directions and you followed them and a bad thing was avoided or a good thing happened. Many. And so it makes sense that not only do they have a lot of status, they have a lot of power. Okay, what else do they have? Credibility. Now, this is one where I think parents sometimes might lack compared to the other things. Now, if you have a parent who also has credibility in that specific realm of whatever it is that they're talking about, then you have even more influence on you, right? And then finally, for parents, are they like you? Yeah, they literally look like you, right? And oftentimes, they share similar values to you, to a degree. Obviously, some people just go polar opposite from their parents. That's fine, but I'm talking in sweeping generalities for most people, right? And so this should at least explain or break down why do parents have so much power over us? How do they have so much influence over our behaviors, even when you don't even, and here's the really kooky part about this. You might not even want to listen to your parents. You might even like your parents, but you can still feel that you have to resist their requests because you are so programmed based on these elements of behavior to comply with their requests, all right? And so then the idea is, how do we take these 4 elements, right? And then how do we reverse engineer these into the content that we have so that we can build up true influence? And again, we're defining influence as the likelihood of a compliance with a request, right? And that likelihood will depend on the nature of the request and how much your SPCL is in relation to that thing, right? If I was giving out fashion tips, I probably don't have a lot of credibility for fashion tips, right? I don't know if I control any scarce resources around fashion. I have no fashion hookups. I probably haven't given anyone specific fashion tips. I have no third-party anything for credibility for it, and you probably don't look like me. And so like I probably would have very low influence. And so these things are not, I mean, to some degree they can generalize as you go up and up and up, but you have more influence in domain specificity, right? So of course, there's some things that will generalize over time. This is why people go to their hairstylist and they'll listen to them for relationship advice. It's like, how does this person who cuts my hair have anything? Like, why would I trust them in any way on relationship advice or on a stock pick? But the thing is that there is some degree that generalizes, but it's obviously going to be way more domain specific to whatever their thing is, right? So hopefully this makes some sense for you guys. Okay, so if we know these are the four things, status, power, credibility, likeness, then for each of these things in our videos, right, we want to demonstrate that we control scarce resources. And so for me, like at the very beginning, if you think about what the intro was, right? So I said we did 32.7 million views, and we did over 105 point something million dollars in sales for the book launch in 72 hours. And so that's me demonstrating status. I have these things, right? Then power. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to break down four things so you can follow. And if you follow these things, you're going to be more likely to get people who are going to comply with your future requests. And so that means that they're not just going to watch your video, but they're going to be more likely to, one, watch a next video. And if you have any kind of call to action in the video, whatever level of call to action that is for you, whether it's subscribe or like or share or buy something that's small or set up a call or whatever it is that you sell, then this is going to be second, right? Like that you'll have included that in your content. So then credibility is going to be the third party stuff. So the reason that I had at my launch, for example, I had Guinness, I had to pay those judges, I had to pay 3 judges, 24 hours, to be on site was because I wanted to validate that the books that we did and the revenue that we generated was legit, right? So I had a third party that most people respect as like a legitimate corporation, that their entire business is based on trust, that they validate and verify proof that these records were broken. And so that gives credibility. And then with respect to the video, status and credibility can seem similar, but because so commonly the things are linked. What I mean is, like, if I say I just have money, I will have some status. But with relation to what this video is about, the credibility component will be more around the views that we're able to generate and the sales that we were able to generate from having content. And so money generically gives status. The credibility around the specific thing that I'm describing, which is like how do you build influence inside of a video or a personal brand, that's going to be, that's the third, that's the kind of like the objective proof. Does that make sense? Hopefully that's, I'm separating these for you. One is generic status. The other is going to be specific to whatever we're describing, all right? Now, the likeness piece, like I said earlier, is just you being you, right? And so that's why I'm actually super pumped to do these live streams, because this is like, honestly, way more fun for me. Because like, I can't, I'll be real with you. I honestly hate making YouTube videos. And what I mean that is like staring at a camera and having like, prompts to, solicit me to say stuff. Like I will do it because I have a relatively high pain tolerance and I'll do what is required to get what I want. But I'm going all in on this. So if you guys are like, what's Alex's kind of like media strategy for the future? I'm focusing on 2 words. You can write this down. Live, interactive. Those are the 2 things that is describing the ACQ 3.0 or Hormozi Media 3.0 vision for what's going forward. Like that is what I'm focusing on. And I'll tell you a story of why I think this is so interesting. So I had a conversation with a mega influencer, I don't think you would mind, with Mr. Beast a few weeks ago. And we were talking about kind of like the future of media and content. And so one of the things that he was just talking about was the soccer game that came up that they do like UK versus US. And I've never watched the game, but you might have seen some like YouTube videos about it. So what ends up happening is that they have all these different celebrities or influencers from different platforms, right? And so starting from the lowest, I'm gonna use my little drawing again. The lowest people on this little totem pole, they would walk out in the stadium, and this became the kind of the de facto like measuring stick for who had the most cool points, right? These are the A-listers, okay? And so this is your typical kind of celebs from like movies and like 90s and the 2000s or whatever, right? People like they recognize because they're celebs, but like they don't have like huge, I guess they have some media presence, but it's more like traditional media. The level of applause for these guys was almost nothing. Barely anyone cared. So then the next level that came up was the shorts the shorts